Welcome to Spirit, Purpose, and Energy. I'm JJ Flazanes, your host, and thank you for downloading today's episode. Today is November 1st, and it will be another solo show. I had a great session this week with a client, and we had some breakthroughs for her, and I had a few breakthroughs and ahas about a new way to explain some concepts, usable things that I think are really important for those of you that are listening. And the client had listened to the show I did for Bella, and I got also a response email back from Bella as well. And Bella, I wanted to address this to you too, because I want to help everybody feel freer. Okay, my whole point in life as an empowerment strategist is to help you feel free. And one of the topics that came up with the client this week was scarcity. And in Bella's emails about her boyfriend and about the need that she had for him to reply back to her and all that kind of stuff, I'm feeling like we're asking people in our lives to behave in a certain way because we're afraid that we otherwise aren't going to get it. So to me, that's a form of scarcity. That you're looking at your partner, you're looking at your work, you're looking at pick a place, and you feel a lack of something. And that lack of something is now having you tell a story in your head about that, well, I can't get that. And if I can't get that, I feel restricted. So I want to teach you how to transmute scarcity. And I'm going to tell you 3 different areas of life in which we can utilize this idea of transmuting scarcity, as well as how they're connected. So I'm going to use a client. I won't mention your name because I didn't ask permission first, but you know who you are. And the first conversation was about scarcity of money. And we're coming upon retirement, and she's really only had one job. It's been to work as a teacher, and teachers, make a good living, but they don't make a ton of money. And looking at retirement and budgeting, and then looking at spending more than we have, I had an epiphany in that moment as I was putting myself in her shoes. Because I mentioned this on this show earlier this week. I talked about people who work for someone else and about using a budget, and I didn't go into it, but here I'm going to go into it here. When you work for someone else, you make the same money every month, yet you spend more than you make. You use your credit card. Why do you think that is? Well, tonight it became really clear to me. It's because you want to feel free and you don't like being restricted. Because you know logically how much money you make. So why would you spend more than you make? Because what you make isn't satisfying your need for the way you want to live. And unfortunately, in our culture, when it comes to money, a lot of people are told that they need to save, and they need to save, and they need to save. And I'm not saying saving is a bad thing, and I absolutely could save more money. But what's missing here? Well, I saw the direct correlation from scarcity of money and saving, and don't spend more than you make. And feel that. Like, that feels restrictive. I mean, it feels logical, but doesn't it feel icky? Doesn't it feel like someone's giving you a parameter that you in your life can't spend more than someone has decided you're worth to pay you in a profession that you may love, but maybe it's not a high paid profession? That just feels so restrictive that, of course, I, as a rebeller, would want to break out of that and break free of that. And I would say, of course I'm going to do what I want to do, and I'll pay the consequences later. So what's the problem here? The problem is that no one's teaching people how to make money. So you can save money. Fine, save money. But why can't someone teach you how to make money? Just because you work for someone else does not mean you can't learn how to make more money. There are so many ways to make more money that would fit into both your interests as well as your skill sets, as well as your level of energy and dedication to it. And we talked about some of those tonight, and I got excited about the possibility for her of things that she could create or things that she could find or leverage to sell to other people that have value and worth and need, and she could make more money. And who knows, we may be able to come up with a situation where she can offer some programs that make her more than what she's currently getting paid. Wouldn't that be nice? So here we've now gotten rid of scarcity in money because we're thinking outside the box. So the message I really want to make sure everybody understands is that if you have scarcity of money, it's because you have a lack of understanding and knowing about all the possibilities that are in front of you. Period. You are not utilizing your creative energy to learn or find out or ask or get help on how you can make more money. Because somebody somewhere told you just needed to save money. You take your paycheck, you save this much percent, fine. I'm not saying don't save. But why aren't we teaching you how to make more money? Doesn't that feel so much better than to not have a ceiling over your head? Okay, so that was the issue with scarcity of money. Then we moved, and I then correlated that into health. I started thinking about, well, isn't that how people deal with weight loss and weight gain and diets and restriction? You rebel when you calorie count. You rebel when you food eliminate things that you are absolutely not willing to give up. And then you rebel in the opposite direction. You overeat, whether it be because it's an emotional response, it's because you feel scarcity of food, scarcity of freedom. Scarcity is just a lack of knowing because you only have looked. It's like I said, it's like you've only shopped at the same store your entire life. You've no idea what's out there. You've never experienced anything different than what you've experienced. So in your logic mind, you can't figure out how to make something new happen when you've only ever experienced one thing. So if you're struggling with weight loss and weight gain and food, and you are constantly trying to control what you're doing with your food, and then you have a breakdown and you overeat, well, that's because you're rebelling against the idea that you have to be so restricted. Now, food's another story because I feel like once you understand biochemistry, you make different choices from a different place. But absolutely, I watch people all the time who say they need to lose weight, go on some kind of diet, or reduce their food or change their food, but they're never willing to actually care about their health at a level to make a permanent change, just temporary. And then they get so frustrated, they rebel against it and overeat, overdrink, gain it all back, revert back to the old habits because the belief is still there that somehow these foods make them happy or that they don't want to feel inconvenienced because, God forbid, their health isn't important enough to feel slightly inconvenienced to plan your meals. Or maybe you could actually enjoy finding new ways to make things or cook things or plan things or finding solutions instead of feeling like things have to stay the same. All right, so enough about health for a second. But I absolutely felt the correlation between scarcity of money in a situation where people have only ever had one way of getting paid and your number hasn't really changed that much to the way we deal with food and nutrition and either calorie counting or portion control. Anything that's about control is about limitation and restriction when it's coming from that place. And in my experience with people, that's always going to backfire on you. Now I want to move into the area of love. So the last conversation was about an ex-boyfriend who, after a drink or two, she started to feel like she was really missing feeling the love, and she was having memories of positive emotions. And as she was telling me this, it became super crystal clear, because this is an area of all three of these, even though I do health for a living, this is an area I definitely feel like an expert in because I've done it over and over again. But I said, this is great news. The great news is that this isn't about the person. The person is the object of your attention that you're focused on to feel the feelings. So I want to loop Bella into here. Bella, you talked about breaking up with your boyfriend and quitting cold turkey and about the feelings that you have for him. And what I want everyone to understand, while you want to make choices based on having good boundaries and communication and someone who wants to work with you and someone who wants to be with you and how you show up and how they show up. And there's tons of layers to relationships. And I want to encourage you, everyone, that if you're going through a breakup or you're going through a lonely period of time, or let's say you're in a marriage that's not working, or you're in a situation that's not feeling really good, and you have a memory, this is where the use of your focus, so everybody in the manifestation challenge, I want you to do this. So for the client, I said, she wanted to not feel that. She's like, well, maybe I should have just squashed it. No, I don't want you to squash your positive feelings. When you are missing someone, let me phrase that. When you are feeling positive emotions first, and then you go into the sadness, I want you to skip the sadness part because I want you to take the positive feelings, have the memory, but then leverage the memory. Transmute that memory into positive energy of what is coming next. Use it as a way to get excited, to know that there are millions upon millions upon millions of people on this planet. And knowing what we know about relationships, that we attract our partner and we choose our partners to heal the wounds of our past. I promise you, there are other people out there whose wounds will match yours, and you will be attracted to them and they will be attracted to you. Forget body type and finances and all that other crap. We're looking at the energetic component of relationships, and there will be another romantic connection coming. So why not take these positive feelings about the relationship, focus on what was good, and use that energy, that knowingness that you had it once and you can have it again. I think I gave the example of it's like shopping at one store your whole entire life or eating the same food every meal your entire life. Like you don't even know what's out there. You can't keep giving the power away to this person or to this one job as your sole source of income, or this one way of eating as the only way to get to your goals of your body and your health. Use the positive feelings and desires to trust and know and create your future in a positive way. And that's what the Manifestation Challenge is all about. Now, today's the last day. Today's the first day. So if you're not in it by now, you may not get in it, and that's okay. You guys can practice this without being in our Manifestation Challenge. You can buy the Manifestation Starter Kit. I don't even know how to, I think it's on jjflizanes.com. You go to programs, but you can do this on your own. You don't even need to be in the group. But the whole idea about manifestation and about leveraging some of the positive feelings that you've had in the past to help create your future. It's not about suppressing or repressing, and it's not even about going cold turkey. Because when you go cold turkey on something, you're denying yourself the positive feelings as well as the negative feelings. So why not take and transmute the positive feelings, and instead of getting sad about the story, stop telling the story the way that it was or the way that it is, and start telling the story the way you want it to be. And erase the person's face. Erase the way that you receive the money. Erase the way you have to eat or exercise or do something in order to have the health and the body that you want. Start creating in your mind and on paper and possibly a vision board what it is you want. And then it's really important to understand and know that other people are doing the same thing. So case in point about the client and scarcity, and about she's never had like a side job or had a part-time job or sold any kind of products or given any other formal presentations or groups that she's created. So this is all very new, and it's going to be very exciting. And I would recommend everyone open your mind and expand your mind to what is possible. And a lot of you aren't even going to know what's possible because you've only ever worked for one job, or you've only ever gotten paid in one way. You've only ever done one thing. You've only ever, lived in one place. And that's all well and good. But when you want something different than you're used to having, the logic mind stops us from believing it's possible because you don't know any other way. You've never experienced anything else. Can you imagine shopping at one store your entire life and then all of a sudden stumbling upon another store with new cool things? You're like, oh my God, this stuff is amazing. It's beautiful. I didn't even know this was here. Well, imagine that's your life right now. You have so many things in this life that you have no idea about. How could you? You've been on this path. So now it's time to start to come outside of your comfort zone and your limiting beliefs to find these things. So I want everyone to seriously consider any area in which you have pain. The question was at the top of the session about the manifestation challenge, or let's just say manifesting in general. You're thinking about using the law of attraction or getting in alignment with law of attraction, because as we know, it always exists, whether you believe it or not. You're always attracting every day, all day long. But let's say now you want to co-create and you want to be an active, conscious co-creator in this environment and actually be aware of what it is you're getting. And you're thinking about something you want to focus on. And I'm going to put up a survey in the group for you guys that are doing the November challenge. And I want to know what it is you're going to focus on. Now, there's a double-edged sword here. When you focus on, let's say money. Let's say you really, really want money. And you say, I'm going to focus on money. Well, I also want you to understand that money currently, without changing a belief, without learning something new or seeing a new possibility, money is also going to have a huge set of resistance and negative emotion. So every time you look at money, even though you want to feel positive things because you really, really, really want it, most likely you're going to activate the lack of having it. So we have to kind of go around the block here. We can't go straight directly into the thing that you want the most, because the thing you want the most is the thing you have the most resistance around and you have the biggest pain point around, and you've practiced having pain around this thing. So we start, when we manifest, with easy things. We start with things that we don't really care about. You start noticing all the things that come to you that you think about that you didn't even have to work at. They just sort of happened. I mean, they're happening. There were two things that happened, I think, this past week. And I noticed that they happened, and then I let it go, and I totally forgot about it. And I wish I would have written it down because I could share it with you here, because I manifest food really great. I'm an awesome manifester of food because I don't care. I mean, I care, but it just sort of happens. So we start with the things that are easy for you first, that you don't have resistance to. And that's why when you start the practices or any of the meditations or the visualizations that I've created in the Manifestation Starter Kit, that you focus on something that feels good, that's easy. You focus on getting in touch with your body. You focus on the things that you can easily appreciate. The reason why I could manifest Doug so easily and so quickly is because I knew and believed, even though my largest pain point was in my relationship, and every night I would appreciate what I did have, and the next set of the list was appreciating what was coming, because I knew and I trusted that I couldn't want this as much as I want this without completely believing I could have it, because I do believe I could have it, which is why I felt the pain, because I wasn't having it. So I focused on all the things that I wanted, and I brought myself into a positive emotional place. And I truly believed with every fiber of my being that I would get it. I just, like, as you all probably have heard, thought I was going to get it from my husband. Okay. And it wasn't until I got out of the way and said and surrendered and allowed for other things to transmute and manifest that I got what I wanted pretty freaking quick when I got out of the way. But we have to recognize when we're in our own way. And we have to recognize when we don't know the how, that will stop you from allowing yourself to visualize or feel or dream or create on a new level. There are so many possibilities of things that you have no idea about. I would recommend for some of you who want to manifest money, buy an entrepreneur magazine and just start looking at it. Just start reading. Don't get the whole subscription. Just buy one and start reading how some people made their money, how they created a business from nothing, from an idea. Because that's where everything starts. So when you're looking at law of attraction, you start with the ideas and the feelings. You get yourself into a space where your creative juices are flowing. For a lot of you, the reason why you feel depression and lethargy is because you are not using your creative juices inside of you. We have to get them out. That is our expression. I don't care if you're male or female. The ideas of possibility and freedom and creation, and that will get your juices flowing, and you will open up to new possibilities you didn't even know were possible. And that excitement, that anticipation, that new belief will start to attract new things for you. So when it comes to your relationships, it's not about the person. It's about the feelings. If you can take those positive feelings and memories and reminders, and I did this when I manifested my husband years ago. He and I had a conversation about depth of things like astrology and life purpose and what the bleep had come out. And The Secret was out, I believe, but I don't think he had watched it yet. But the idea of the conversation we had, and he was dating somebody else, and there were some other red flags in the beginning that I chose to work through and ignore, which was fine because it all worked out for my benefit in the end. But I didn't focus on that it was him. But I leveraged the conversation we had. I leveraged the feelings that got created when I met somebody who could dive a little deeper with me, who was interested in some of these other things that I like to talk about. and I didn't actually think it was going to be him, but I used his energy, not his face, but that conversation, that feeling. And I said, okay, well, if I can have this with this guy, then there must be other people on the planet that I could have this with. So I'm just going to put it out there and say, I want whatever's best for everyone's highest good. And that is what I focused on. And I used that energy when I did my vision board every day for 3 weeks. And then, of course, the story goes that he called and we got together. And between the first and second date, we basically were engaged. So I just want you to really, really, really hear that I want you to not suffer. I don't want you to suffer. I want you to feel free, even when you're in pain. I want that pain, after you express it, after you release it, after you acknowledge it, after you feel it, I want you to transmute it. I want you to recognize that it had a purpose. It wasn't to punish you. It wasn't because there's something wrong with you. It's not because you need to be better at something that you're failing at. You are exactly where you need to be for this lesson right now. Feel it, but don't make it mean anything more than you've had a physical, human, emotional experience that you can take and make spiritual by transmuting those feelings, leveraging it into, now I know what I don't want. Now I know what I don't like. I cannot wait to clarify and ask for and attract what I do want. And the more specific you can get sometimes, the more exciting it can get. But in general, just remember, I don't want you to squish any of those memories of past good things. I do want you to rewrite some of the things about the bad things, though. And that's the other part of manifestation when you try to hit something straight on. If you try to manifest something that you absolutely do not believe is possible, but you think you should try, you're just going to end up right where you are. And you'll probably manifest negative things to prove you wrong. So that you'll say to yourself, well, this doesn't work anyway. It doesn't work because see what I did? Well, it didn't work. I did that and it still didn't work. Right? Because you didn't believe it was going to work in the first place. If you don't believe that what you want is possible, you're probably not going to get it. So we have to learn to make peace with what is, let go of the how, and allow ourselves to be open and guided by our impulses that come when we're in a good place, by whispers of inspiration and ideas, and then the trust that you're never going to get it right and you're never going to get it done. So why not take a chance, step outside your comfort zone for a second, and trust your impulse and see where it takes you. So I hope today was useful. I've been on, again, I just got off this coaching call. Bella, I read your response email and thought I just wanted to infuse some positive momentum energy. That's another thing I just want to quickly touch on, momentum. When you deny yourself positive feelings or don't leverage the positive feelings into more, then by default, most likely, you're going to start a negative momentum, which is harder to get out of. You are not going to go from beating yourself up and telling a conversation, that in a story in your head every day that makes you feel crappy. You're not going to go from feeling crappy to feeling joy, like in 24 hours. It's not going to happen because you've practiced the momentum of feeling bad or sad or restricted or fearful or scarcity or I don't know or I'm so overwhelmed. Okay, until we change and let go of some of that and make peace with where we are and get back to neutral and then start to see possibility and open up and say, well, there's got to be a way, or what does this mean? Or what do I know now? Or how did this show up in my life? How did I manifest this? And what does this mean for me? And what's my lesson here? And how do I move forward? When we get there, we can switch the momentum to positive, and it's going to be a lot easier to jump from agitated to excited and happy than it is from depressed, repressed, and restricted to anything close to joy. So I hope that if you aren't on our manifestation challenge, you will utilize this information today. If you want to check out the manifestation starter kit, go to jjflizanes.com. I believe it's under programs or products. That will take you to Fit to Love, and one day it'll all be a lot easier. But anyway, it's on there, the Manifestation Starter Kit, jjflizanes.com. And if you can't find it, just email me and I will direct you to where it is. And it's all the things you need to get started without being in the Manifestation Challenge to do some of this law of attraction work on your own more effectively, because we're not going to be hitting things dead on, straight on. Okay? Happy manifesting. Happy November. See you next week.